Hello, welcome to Watford Junction Station. We're going to take a London Overground service today to London Euston, but it's going to be slightly different, as you can see. Let's first of all navigate our way towards the DC line platforms. Here we have our train waiting for us, and it's a Class 313 in Silverlink livery, which I've got from the Creators Club. Other than that, it's in free roam mode, and I've worked out you can certainly do it from this direction anyway towards London Euston. For some reason, I have difficulty in pathing it the other way. So, if anybody has any ideas why that should be the case, then please let me know. Let's find our way into the cab. And kind of, again, it's one of these runs I've been meaning to do for quite a while actually, but finally got round to giving it a go. So I do remember that the master key is there, so that's on. Put that into forward, get the AWS on, and we are due away at 16:28. So we'll set the instrument lights to, what shall we have, bright I suppose. Headlight lights. I don't think it really matters much about the GSMR because it's with the paths timetable, but the rest of it kind of isn't. But looking pretty damn decent, that. There's a couple of different variations. Kind of gone for one that doesn't say Overground on the side. Silverlink Metro. I mean, for some people this is kind of a distant memory, and for others it's just not heard of because they will be completely oblivious about the 313s. I mean, the last time 313s were used on the Watford DC lines were back in September 2010. So it's a slightly fictional operation because, of course, there was a time when Pendolinos and the 313s were in combination, but the Pendolinos would have been in Virgin Trains livery, so it'd be quite a good one for the Creators Club scenario really to represent. Let's get the doors unlocked, and then we are actually due away basically 16:28, so I think we'll get they've had a few seconds to get aboard, and yeah, sure, we're okay there. Sadly, I don't think we can actually set the destination blind on this unit. Three-step brake. Love the old electric motors that they have on these old trains. First came into service in the 1970s on the mainly out of King's Cross on the Great Northern Line to places like Welling, Garden City and Hertford North. Sometimes out of King's Cross, but mainly out of Moorgate. And then in more recent years they saw active service on the southern main line out of Brighton. Well, I'll say main line, mainly on the East Coastway and the West Coastway to Lewes, to Seaford, to Littlehampton on the West Coastway. And I believe they were the first units to actually be built by British Rail, which had AC and DC capability. Because the problem was on the Great Northern, they were predominantly going to be used for AC operation, Finsbury Park onwards, but the Moorgate bit between Moorgate and Drake Park needed to be in DC mode, so they came up with this PEP unit that could do both. I can't actually remember in terms of Train Sim World 5 with this 313 whether it's actually got the AC mode included. That's something I can't remember. I'd have to look that up. That lovely horn, by the way, is a mod from Train Sim Community. The sounds generally feels as though there might possibly should be some black around the windows. I mean, there's one or two Creators Club versions of this livery. So that was Watford High Street. Of course, we'll continue. Help if we take the brakes off. One thing you'd have to remember is it's not a combined accelerator and brake. You have separate brake and accelerator, which if we kind of look down at the cab, you can see that's the accelerator, and then you have the reverser there. It's all a little bit different. So we'll continue in DC mode. All the way to Euston, but we'll have this little section away from the West Coast Main Line as far as Bushey. And then we will regain running alongside the West Coast Main Line for the duration through to London Euston. Completely different feel driving this to the 710 Adventurers. Well, we've got quite a crowd at Bushey. This is kind of a peak time operation as well, because as you can see we're 25 to 5 in the evening, peak time. Because we're running in free run mode, it might well be that the passengers don't actually choose to get on. So now we are running alongside the West Coast Main Line. I'm certainly looking forward at some point to giving this 313 a run out on the North London line as well, from Willesden Junction to Stratford, because very much they were prominent on the North London line for many years as well. And if you own that video 125 version of the run on the North London line, then you'll go as far as North Woolwich with a 313 in Silverlink colours. I mean, some people might say the colour scheme's slightly garish, but I quite like it. So I'm going to make this comment advisedly, but the one slightly good thing about the station stops is that because we aren't actually going to go above 45 mile an hour, then essentially we should be able to visually see the stations and actually stop in time, which is not something that you could do in the vast majority of runs on train journeys. It certainly helps in terms of route learning, and in theory the speed limit doesn't change around all that much. So coming towards Carpenter's Park. I do love this free run mode though, because you can actually combine, you just put the train onto the tracks and then the timetable just operates all around you. See a Creators Club scenario that looked quite decent, that's been done fairly recently, whereby it's in virgin colours. It's a 710 adventure in the background, by the way. The only thing that slightly put me off, and this is obviously because the 378's not out yet for the Mildmay line and everything. That's next week as I'm recording this, and you'll probably, by the time you watch this video, have seen the preview stream, but I've recorded this before the preview stream, so I hope you've enjoyed it, because I'm very much looking forward to it. I'll certainly intend to do the 378 on this service as well, because even now you do occasionally get 378s in use on the Watford DC lines. Last time I did a run on the DC lines, I came a cropper coming into London Euston and quite put the brakes on in time for the for the ramps. Don't know for certain whether it will be affected by this train, but either way we'll assume that it is, and we'll treat Euston with care. These units provided a sterling service for very many years on the Watford DC lines. One or two heavy drinkers in this area by the looks of things.
Passengers are advised that lifts are available for all passengers. In all vessel stations, do not run unless
hatch end. Again, you don't always get to quite appreciate all the detail that's gone into this as well. And you know, even going out there, okay, it's slightly more generic, but you've kind of got this feeling of arriving into the station. There's the bike racks. Very nicely done. Slow reacting to the the guard there. Of course, we haven't really got a guard, so it's just a question of giving yourself the two beeps and then the two beeps back. I still think this has to be my favourite route on Train Sim World 5. There's something going on all the time, and it's such a busy section. And I think the fact that it's kind of not just, it's like three routes in one really. We've got the fast services with the Pendolino, you've got the local services to Tring and to Milton Keynes with varying patterns, and you've got this, plus you've got the freight services as well. Going to be good with the Maldway line as well, the fact that we can actually then start the day with a 7:10 Adventurer and take it to Gospel Oak to enter service to Barking Riverside as well. Kind of completes the journey. Strange that at one time a 3-car unit was actually perfectly adequate. Of course, in reality they now use 5-car trains. So Henston Lane, and then next it's Harrow and Wealdstone. Of course, for the run between Harrow and Queen's Park, we'll see the Bakerloo line trains as well. One thing I didn't know, I kind of looked a little bit of information up before I ran this service, but the Of course, it's now known as the Lioness Line, though many people will still call it the Watford DC lines. But for a period from the late 80s, in fact from 1988, Network South East days, it was actually renamed the Harlequin line. I think it cost a few £1 million to do all the rebranding at the time, and it was launched at Wembley Central by no less than Ed Stewart, Ian St John and Jimmy Greaves. And you kind of wonder, even with that rebranding, how many people actually called it the Harlequin line. And Harlequin, incidentally, I mean, this was a competition winner who came up with this name, but it was combining the names of Hatch End, Harlesden and Queen's Park. So, you know, quite original really. You're going to brake step 2 and you feel as though you're really overdoing it with the brakes. And the tiny Bakerloo line stock. Of course, they are still very much an active part of the current railway network, the oldest trains in service now in the UK. I wished I'd taken advantage of these 313s while they were still going in the southern region, which, as I say, active until a couple of years ago. We're not going to concentrate too much on the inside of the train because, of course, the seats are decked out in southern colours, and the units were somewhat refurbished for southern service use. So we should see the odd Bakerloo line train passing us in the opposite direction, as well as the 710s, and of course the 710s on this Watford DC line service every 15 minutes in either direction. There has been times over the years where the Bakerloo line at one time used to run to Watford Junction, and there's always been talk of it being extended again. There was also a time when it was curtailed as well. The Bakerloo line didn't run as far as Harrow and Euston for a while, and only went as far as, well, I think Stonebridge Park possibly, certainly Queen's Park. So we'll carry on this side of the West Coast Main Line as far as Wembley Central. And we've got Kenton and then South Kenton coming up. And in terms of people watching this video, I'd be quite interested to see how many of the people watching can actually remember these in active service on the Watford DC lines. But I hope the younger viewers too find this interesting, because it's kind of how it used to be. You should really be coming to a halt at brake step 1, I think. I think brake step 2 is a little bit overkill because you're standing up waiting to depart the train, or you're getting up from your seat and you're going to be lurched a little bit off your seat in brake step 2. Because it's 3-car unit as well, then you've kind of got all the room in the world. Yeah, if you kind of go into power mode 4, notch 4, then it feels as though you're kind of pulling away quite rapidly, but to a certain extent it's a bit like the Bakerloo line trains in that it's a bit of a struggle. That was one of the special liveries, wasn't it? It was painted for the climate change one, the green, sort of, what was it, the COPCO? Is it called COPCO? The COPCO conference in Glasgow a few years back now. I think if you're coming into the platform about 30 mile an hour, then you're going to pretty easily come to a halt before the end. Interesting chap there, I notice, working on the signal. And he's got something in hand. It's like, is he spraying a bit of oil on there? Love little stuff like that, though. I think it really adds to the game. Use the cab light, it says. I didn't mean to. Cab lights off. We don't need them in this bright sunlight. I remember when the North London line came out for Train Sim Classic, with the 378, and it was a dreadful drive because the sounds were absolutely abysmal. Thankfully that's been improved now with the Armstrong Powerhouse packs and everything, but they then fairly quickly brought out the 313, and that was a delight to use on it. If you are liking the video and you've not subscribed to the channel before, then I'd be grateful if you could consider doing so. It'd be really appreciated. Thanks once more for the continued support. Slightly more sedate run this than the live stream on Sunday when we did that full run from London Euston to Glasgow Central. 5 hours 10 minutes the actual journey, but of course allowing for loading up various sections and stuff. It's just over 6 hours of video, but if you've not watched it, then you can watch. You don't have to watch all of it because it's a 6-hour video, but you can watch it in the live tab on the channel. Yeah, for some reason I looked at the free roam and it doesn't quite work pathing it going the other way, because if you set it up at platform 9 at London Euston, you can't get it to register South Hampstead on the down platform. So I don't know why that is. I don't know whether it's Powerflower being stupid, but I certainly couldn't get it to work, so I've got it to work in this direction. And because the service is so intensive, I've deleted the original 1628 service so that hopefully we've got the platform into London Euston, because it gets quite congested, the in and out of the DC line services. Well, there's the Children in Need special one as well. We're getting all the special colours on this run today. So Wembley Central. Change here for Wembley Stadium. Of course, it's because of Wembley Central really that this line is now known as the Lioness line, after the Lioness's Euro 2022 success. And it was a day such as this when England beat Germany.
Security personnel tour this station 24 hours a day.
It's funny how the two major successes for the England football team, men and women, came at Wembley, and both of them were against Germany in dramatic circumstances in both matches. So we are 45, but we very quickly dropped down to 40, and we will go beneath the 4 tracks of the West Coast Main Line and then rejoin on the other side before we get to Stonebridge Park. We are very much going downhill as well, so putting on 1 step of brake to try and make sure we don't break the 40 mile an hour. I'm trying to be a good boy today with the driving. Marginally easier than when you're trying to monitor the chat at the same time, or at least that's my excuse. So then you've got the opposite problem, because we've got the climb then to get up the hill. We've got Stonebridge Park Depot coming in on the left. There we have a Bakerloo line service on its way to Wembley Central, and then ultimately to Harrow and Wealdstone. sounds are coming through nice and loud and clear, because it feels a little bit more old school, built in the 1970s at BREL, British Rail Engineering Limited, at York Works, I think it was. So there we have Wembley Stadium. It's when these were in active service, it would have been with the Twin Towers rather than the Wembley Arch. The North Circular as well. Impresses me the fact that it looks busy too. And I think if you were venturing off towards Wembley, you'd probably take that road there, I'm guessing, unless there's one slightly closer to. Again, it's kind of not good form to venture into notch 4 from the outset. You're trying to build it up slowly. Plenty of latent power, but it just feels a little bit more mechanical than some of the modern stuff. That was Stonebridge Park, so Harleston next. Hope you're looking forward to the North London line coming out. I know obviously many people have commented on the fact that it doesn't go to Clapham Junction and it doesn't go to Richmond, but incredible trains. Johan, I think his name is, done a fantastic job of it by the looks of things. And I've got high hopes of what he might just do in the future. Watch this space, and it'll be interesting to hear if there's any more news soon on other projects in the next roadmap as well. Bit short of the platforms at Harleston.
These parts at unauthorised points may be clamped.
So we've got Wilson Junction coming up, and of course that's where you would change for the North London line. I don't know, I think there are plans by Forks. I mean, this is the Forks timetable. They've downloaded the mod from Train Sim Community website, and I think he's still got plans. Well, I always call it the Forks timetable. There's a group of about 3 or 4 of them who've actually done the upgrade, but I think Forks in the timetable. I think he's still got plans on expanding the route, and I think possibly waiting for the next freight pack coming out before he does more freight. I think he was talking about originally doing the North London line trains going over the top here, but He might have just decided it's kind of tipping the timetable up a little bit too much. Then again, he might be waiting for the 378 to come out. Still recognises our service, incidentally. That's pretty good, isn't it? 17:04 for Euston. It says we're on time, though we're about a minute adrift, actually, aren't we? But it's got the remaining stations up on the board. We had got a slightly adverse signal before when we arrived at the platform, but we're on green now, so I only assume we've got a Bakerloo line train ahead of us, so that's something to bear in mind in the upcoming stations. So Kensal Green is next. How the motor's just cut out when you go over the points with the gap in the third rail. Let me know the graffiti as well, because you certainly can't fail to notice it if you're on this line in real life, and this section going into Euston, just how much graffiti there really is. Kind of got 45, but we've also got to be mindful that the platform is not too very far away. Although it's just at the end of the tunnel, the platforms at Kensal Green. There you go, nice calm stop. The old and the new. Kind of old enough to remember these trains being brand new as well. It's a sign you kind of feel it getting older when you have trains that you can remember coming into brand new service and they've now kind of gone out of service. basically gone now, haven't they, more or less? We had the last of the Merseyrail ones going out of service last year, I think. It just kind of make you think if Dovetail Games ever did decide to do the Merseyrail for Train Sim World 5, then this is a fairly decent basis. I mean, I think the cab's a bit different, but it isn't a huge leap to imagine them building a 507 or 508 from the basis of this. And even younger viewers can relate to the 507s and 508 on the Merseyrail network. So of course, change here for the Bakerloo line at Queen's Park for the last time, so for trains to Elephant and Castle. So I think that slight adverse signal is probably that train that's adjacent to us, but interested to get the little and large view, of course, because of the tunnels on the Bakerloo line. That's why they have to be so small. We'll just wait for this train to leave. I mean, it's not going to alter out that. It's great there's such an active timetable involved now. So just Kilburn High Road, South Hampstead and London Euston for our journey today. There's a slight trepidation because of doing this in free roam and knowing that the only way we're going to get into London Euston is via platform 9, so I'm kind of hoping it works. It should do. There really aren't that many changes in speed limit variations. The problem with looking at the map in the top right hand corner like we've got it set up is it kind of does give you the excuse not to actually try and read the signs on in real life, well, say in real life, but on the game in front of you like you would see them visually. There is an argument for saying you're never going to learn it really otherwise. I hope you've enjoyed this run on the Watford DC line today, and I just thought, well, just slightly different than the norm using the 313. There's another Pendolino racing northbound. We are very much in the heart of the London peak now. It's 5:15 at night. I think I set this for May. It kind of captures it really well because you've got all the detailing on the stations in terms of it being part of the overground. Actually, it's Southampton, isn't it? I'm talking rubbish. And I said it was going to be Kilburn High Road. Yeah, this is of course Southampton. Even that, you can see there's a fair bit of detail going on there. Yeah, looks pretty good. We have that tunnel section at Primrose Hill, and this really is quite a narrow little section. I mean, when they used the 501s, which were kind of the old slam door style trains in the, well, I suppose it was the early 80s really, still before the 313s were introduced on this line. And they had bars across the windows to stop people from leaning out because you really are that close to the tunnels here. Like how they've simulated the light as well on the walls. And then we've got the descent down Camden Bank as well to look forward to. I wonder if we'll get a totally clear run into the platform. It just remains to be seen whether there's another overground service to occupying the platform to depart before us. Great fun driving this unit, completely different experience to driving the 710 Aventra, which I enjoy driving as well. I've said it, many times before, but it's great to drive old and new alike. It's kind kind of, you appreciate the sophistication, the smoothness of the new trains, but you kind of enjoy that slightly more mechanical feel of the older trains. Love this section, I have to say, with all the tracks on different levels. So complicated. Captures this part of London just out of Euston and Camden so nicely. You've got the canal that we go over, Camden Lock, of course, where TVAM used to be based. Hoping we've got a run into Euston, and the fact is, if you're watching this video, then it kind of proves that it does work, because otherwise it won't make it to air. Yeah, we are signalled into platform 9. Delightful. You will unfortunately notice it's going to be a bit stuttery as we go into Euston itself. And again, you're still on that descent down Camden Bank, so train trying to pull away from you a little bit. You imagine a lot of people would be trying to get away from Euston at this time rather than actually arriving into it, so maybe a little bit quieter in this direction, although there'll be some transferring onto the tube from here. Of course, you've got Euston Underground Station, you've got Euston Square just around the corner as well. Those are those pesky ramps that caught me out last time. As I say, I'm not even sure they would be activated on this train, because with it being an older train, but we'll assume that they are. Absolutely crawl towards those buffer stops. And as they always seem to say, well, I thoroughly enjoyed that. A little bit old school, But finally, I've had a chance to ride the Class 313 on West Coast Main Line South Train Sim World 5, so marvellous. So of course slightly fictional in many ways with the modern LNWR livery stuff with the Pendolinos in Avanti colours. And as I say, it's perfectly possible to create a scenario in Creators Club and have those 350s in Silverlink livery, have the Pendolinos in Virgin Trains livery, and that would be representative of the era when they were last running these 313s on this line back in 2010. So thank you very much for watching, and if you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe, or at least consider doing so. I'd be tremendously grateful to keep the support of the channel going. Join me on Sunday for the next live stream, 5 o'clock, and as things are planned for the current week as I'm recording this, I think it's going to be an all Train Sim World 5 stream this week. So until then, from Power Flower Trains and Planes, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.